So now we're going to start creating our speed meter. The first thing we're going to need to do is import our assets. If you're following along and don't already have the assets downloaded, then pause the video now and click the link below to download the zip file. Then extract it somewhere on your PC. There are a few ways to import assets in Incari. You can drag files directly from your File Explorer into the Asset Manager panel. Right-click here and import assets. We are using the plus icon in the top left corner. Please follow these steps to import the image files into the project. Navigate to the asset folder and import the specified image files. The assets will now be added to the project. To enhance organization, create a new folder by right-clicking and selecting New Folder. We will name this folder Main Elements. You can then easily drag and drop the assets into this folder. Additionally, assets can be imported into the project using Windows Explorer. On the left side, you will see all available assets, while the right side displays the asset folder within the project directory. By using drag and drop, you can move the remaining assets into the asset folder. In Incari Studio, you will notice that the folder structure has been accurately reflected. This method also allows for quick and easy updates to assets, provided that the naming conventions remain consistent. With all the essential assets now in place, we can begin creating our design. Let's start by setting up the background. There are several ways to create a background for our interface. For instance, we could use an image, a pattern, or simply a solid color. If we opt for a solid color, we can set the background color directly in the attribute editor. However, since this option is only visible in the player, I will use a vector object as the background for this tutorial. Therefore, click in the scene outliner on the plus icon, and under Vector choose Rectangle Shape and name it Background. To set the color, go to the Fill section. Instead of selecting a color manually from the color picker, we will use a hex code. Enter the following code, 020412, to ensure the background spans the full screen. Set both the width and height to 980 pixels, which matches the screen dimensions. Under Main Elements, select Speed, Back Graphics and Background Blur, then drag them into the scene view. You will notice that both objects automatically appear in the scene outliner. Let's add the mini gauge by dragging and dropping it into the scene view. However, unlike the previous elements, the mini gauge does not align perfectly in the center. This misalignment occurs because the graphics resolution does not match the screen's resolution. While it is possible to manually drag it closer to the center, but it's not the preferred way. To accurately center the mini gauge, we will reset its position to 0. For a more reliable solution, we will create a frame to perfectly center the object. To do this, right-click in the scene outliner and create a new frame. Name the frame after the asset we are centering, in this case, mini gauge. Next, drag the mini gauge asset into the frame and select it. This will allow you to adjust its settings in the attribute editor. In the attribute editor, scroll down to the Fill Attributes section and remove the fill, as we will only use the frame for layout purposes. Next, scroll up to the layout settings and change it from none to either vertical or horizontal. In this case, it doesn't matter which. However, you'll notice that nothing has changed yet. This is because the frame size still matches the size of the object. To center it on the screen, the frame must be resized to match the screen dimensions. Set both horizontal resizing and vertical resizing to fixed distance, and adjust the size to 980 pixels. Now, under the alignment settings, you can choose options such as top right or bottom left. But for our purposes, select center middle. The object will now be perfectly centered in the scene. Repeat this process for the speed scale graphic. Right-click to create frame, rename the frame, and drag the asset into it. Remove the fill, set the layout to vertical, and adjust the resizing parameters to fixed distance. Set the frame size to 980 to 980 pixels and align it to center middle. Repeat this process for the needle. To confirm that the needle is perfectly centered and rotating correctly, use the rotation slider. Finally, to maintain a clear and organized structure as the project progresses, group all elements in the scene outliner using the shortcut Ctrl+G. This will help keep the scene elements well organized. In the next episode, I'll demonstrate how to add and edit text, as well as how to use masks in Incari Studio to create complex visual effects.